outside of the. Never mind.
All right, we are live. We are gonna wait just a few more minutes, and then we'll introduce our beautiful friend here in a second. But for everyone who is joining us on Apple or whatever your choice of preferred podcast is, I would love for you to check YouTube later because you can see our guest right now. I think most of you know him already because he's been on all the big stages of our industry. But we always do it live and we do it in this video form because I think it really helps to connect with us. Maor, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're such a busy person, so we really appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Definitely. No, I love MaxWeb, and I love you. And every time I can talk to smart people and share my knowledge is a blessing for me. So, oh
I
wow,
know.
this works. Can I do it as well? Let's see. Yes, no,
It just works for me because you have to do it from the bottom of your heart to really have it work.
it doesn't work. Wow, my heart
How
is.
do you know that like Gen Z they do it like this?
No, I'm too old for that, I guess.
I know millennials do it like this, and then you have this.
Wow, you're like a super. I don't know,
It's a
Marvel
superpower.
character.
Oh,
How do we know how many people are joining or joined?
well, I can tell. I can tell. Sorry, you
You can
cannot.
tell.
It's we
Oh,
already have a bunch of people with us live. Hi guys,
okay.
and then
Hello,
you're gonna see the
everyone.
comments. And also, if you have time later on after we're done with the podcast, if you go to our Facebook page, Maor, if you see any questions that we don't get to reply to today, maybe you can help the audience and
No,
have.
definitely. If someone has any questions, they can leave it there.
Yes, please. Just leave
Um,
them in the comments for us, guys. YouTube or Facebook, wherever you are watching. And very important, I would love for you, Mawar. I know you don't love to share your whole life story and you don't have to, but let's assume we have some friends joining the podcast who don't know who you are. So I would love you if you can spend just 5 minutes telling us who you are,
okay.
why does everyone loves you in the affiliate marketing space, and tell us your favorite color and your favorite food.
My favorite color and food. Okay. So, my name is Maor Benaim, originally from Jerusalem. Now I live in Tel Aviv, 35 years old. I've been in the industry ever since I remember myself, to be honest. I think it's around 13 or 14 years now. I started from really a media buyer background, and then elevated to a level where I'm what I call and define as a full stack media buyer, which is someone who really spends their own money on all of the platforms, not afraid
Yep.
of really trying stuff at a high scale, stuff like that. Because, lots of people are either media buyers just on, for example, one platform like Facebook, or they spend other people's money, like if they run agency stuff. So I do that,
Exactly.
and then I came up with my book in October of this year, like I think 6 months ago, just a tiny bit more, and that became a bestseller on Amazon. And the book is about mostly personal help. It's personal development stuff. Usually, 95% of my content is just around tactical and technical stuff, how to scale a campaign, how to run campaigns, stuff like that. And
Mhm.
that book was everything I learned from being at over 40 therapists. I don't know if we ever talked about it or not, but I've been to over
Not the
40,
number. That's
yeah,
thank you for
40,
sharing with us.
yeah,
That's why
and,
you're
and
so healthy. Now it all makes sense. You put in
depends
the
on who you
work.
ask. Depends on who you ask. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, it started when I was like in kindergarten. Back then, they thought that if a kid just like paints with black, then it means that they have an issue or something like that. And then they started sending me back then, and ever since I've been going. So I have lots of experience with lots of types of therapy, and then like lots of personal development stuff, and just like business coaching. So I took everything that I learned there, and I combined it with everything that we do in our industry, and what it takes to really choose the right partner, and really build
Mm,
the right business and stabilize a deal, and also negotiate deals and stuff like that. So The audiobook is coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, depends on when I finish it. It's not going to be my voice, which is question everyone's
Aw.
asking. I don't know why. I don't think my English is that good, and I want it to be like, my English is good, but I'd
Your
like it to
English is
be
great.
native. Yeah. So the book
I'm
is
excited.
coming
It's
out.
one I've obviously read the book. It's fantastic. I
Did
absolutely
you?
love it. Of course.
Wow.
It was on pre-order before you even had like the
Wow.
paperback. Yeah. It's it's very
Amazing,
good.
amazing.
And
Yeah. So thank
I
you.
obviously agree. I think most of the good entrepreneurs have always put in the work. So if their mindset is right, they are successful in other aspects of their life. So you can tell just from reading. I mean, I obviously could tell from meeting you that you're the real deal and you understand how our industry works because of
Yeah.
the psychological
I also
aspect.
don't think that, lots of, if we're talking affiliates, but also lots of other people that I either consult to or just meet in
Mm.
this industry, you feel like their attitude or mindset is more aimed at, tell me what's the secret, tell me
Oh
like
yeah.
what do you do and stuff like that, which is, it's so much, it has to do with mindset, but for them it sounds like kumbaya, it sounds like
Oh yeah.
spiritual shit, it sounds like
Yep.
you're like at that level, you're already making that amount of
Mm.
money, so it's easy for you to say it. Well, I'm struggling with losing campaigns on Facebook and stuff like that, and they have no idea how sophisticated our brain is. They think that they are smarter than their own brain. I know it's a weird sentence to say, but yeah. So the book is really aimed towards getting you into that level, because it's one of those things that after you go past a certain point, you look at everything else, your past, your future, everything else looks different, and you also feel like you want to help other people.
Oh
so
yeah. Yeah,
so
and
I
besides that, in our space, besides that aspect of so many people just asking what's the secret, that's why we have so many gurus in our space. Because if everyone keeps asking what's the secret, chances are someone will
someone is gonna
pretend they
sell them on a
know.
secret. Yeah, someone is gonna tell them on a secret.
And then entrepreneurs, I have a business background, not a marketing one. So entrepreneurs in our space, obviously not our friends or the actual successful ones, they're always so worried about what the competition is doing. Like, what are the other ones doing? How are they making it work?
Yeah,
Who cares? Very good people. They're just
yeah.
focused on their stuff to be better 1% every day. And
It's
I
it's
know you
it's an
agree.
obsession almost, because you have it's very hard to get along in the industry nowadays, because just think about it. You hear stories, 60, 70, 80% of the stories you hear are complete made up stuff. It's not even bullshit, because even bullshit has a value. So it's like, these guys tell you about these secret spatial Facebook, Google accounts that don't really exist. And this guy tells you about a cashback that you're never going to receive. And this guy tells you about the course that you have to buy. And this one's going to tell you how to build a VSL. And everyone has like, pictures and videos that are edited really cool with hip hop music, and then drives a Ferrari in Dubai, and he drives that,
With a
and
Rolex.
five
Yeah,
Rolexes on their hands. And I
I
feel
know.
like,
I know.
I'm 35 now. I think you're the same age as my age, more or less,
Yeah, 37. Very
37.
proud 37-year
So
old.
so we're we've been in the industry for long enough to understand what's going on. And also, there is this picture you talked about Rolexes. So the first picture shows someone who doesn't have a watch but really wants a watch, and then the second stage is he has like a very cheap watch, a Casio or something like that, Casio. And then the third picture, he has a Rolex, and the fourth picture, he has no watch at all. So I mean, like, the cooler people that we know, the richer people that we know, they really don't have a watch, because it's kind of like this mathematical equation where you reach a point where you don't have to sweat that much to prove, and you also don't really care. You know what I mean? If someone
Exactly.
tells me that I'm not smart or stupid, I'm gonna be like, okay, I
Yeah.
mean, that's great, thank you. If I
Okay.
even address that. But because I know inside what I'm worth, I don't need sell anyone else to validate me from the outside. So I feel like, yeah, the industry has lots of these people. And also, I feel like, it's like 60% of the times I have a very much like Attila kind of like attitude, where I'm like, I think that these people are looking at the short term, so someone goes on a few stages and then he monetizes it. So he buys a few YouTube subscribers, and then he tries to sell a course, or he has like meetups or stuff like that, and then really people are attracted to that. And then 60 or 70% of the times, I think that they lose in two ways. The first way is that I don't think they understand how much they are playing the short term and
Mm.
burning themselves throughout the long term. And why? One, no one's gonna wanna do business with you if they think that you're, a hoax, a scammer, a fake guru,
Mm.
whatever you want to call it. And the second reason is that what happens throughout time is that what I call naive people, some people would call them stupid, are attracted to you, and the smarter people that are more experienced are getting farther away from you. So at the end of the day, after a few years, you're gonna be left with the people who
Very
are
small crowd.
not that smart, that are easier to fool, and some of them are gonna grow from it and understand whatever happened with you, and they're gonna leave you as well. So, and then 40% or 30% of the times, I see people that are doing hit and run on the industry. They're around the industry for like 2 to 5 years. They're
Mm.
making some money, and then they're out. They're doing real estate or something like that.
Or they change the name of the company and they come
Or they
back
change the name
two
of the
years with
company.
a different name, right? And yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen it. And that's why, it's so important for me. And I always put in the effort to only invite people, even if sometimes I want to have a guest every month, because I'd rather wait and have someone join us that I know is going to actually be kind and mindful and tell our listeners stuff that it's actually like relevant. And with that in mind, I would love, obviously, it's no secret, MaxWeb, our superpower, is VSLs. Our affiliates are very, very successful with video sales letters. So I would love to pick your brain for a bit. And not the secrets. I saw a comment was very funny. Nassim said he came in to watch the live stream for the secrets. Well, we're not going to pretend to give you all the secrets here, but Maor can share stuff that he sees as working, things that
yeah,
can help you if you're thinking about trying VSLs, or even if you tried VSLs before and you're like,
yeah,
gosh, this is not working out. I want to stick to Legion.
definitely. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, in terms of secrets, my thing is I am sharing my secrets. I do not keep anything on the outside, because at the end of the day, I think that if someone wants to learn, they're gonna learn, and I really I prefer that I would be the one that is gonna teach them. I really think there is enough for everyone, especially when it comes to
I
digital
love that.
marketing. And then going back to what you said, sometimes people come to me at like shows and they show me, oh, I have this guy from this company that shows me other people's accounts. And I'm like, great, you paid for it. You have nothing to do with it. So at the end of the day, even if I give you whatever we call secrets, at the end of the day, you really have to do the work. And sometimes, even if you have the exact roadmap, you still have to invest a lot of money. So, I mean, yes. So, what I did is I prepared throughout the last few months. This is kind of like my process when it comes to writing and filming my YouTube stuff. I prepared kind of like a VSL series. So, it has everything that has to do with VSLs, but for advanced people that are already familiar with VSL. So it's not about how to prepare a VSL, because as you know, I'm very weak when it comes to creatives, but it has a lot to do
We'll
with the
take care of the
technical.
creating.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
So I mean, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and I think that we're going to be able to go through two or maybe four things, is what I call the creatives misconception. And when I say creatives misconception, I mean technically, not about the thing that has to do with creating the creatives. So the misconception that I keep seeing, and this is probably the most common thing in the industry, is that people tend to think that if you want to scale or if you want to be big as an affiliate, as an advertiser, regardless, you have to keep pumping creatives, and lots of them. And other people think that you have creative fatigue, and some platforms like TikTok, like Facebook, sometimes like YouTube, they burn through creatives really fast. And I have to tell you, that's the biggest misconception that no one is talking about. What usually happens is something like that. If you ask these people to check, usually they don't know, but if you ask them to check how long creatives last on their lower CPA offers, usually it's lead gen, where they get paid 10, 30, $50
Exactly.
per lead, they would see that they have creatives there that are running for 3, 6, or 9 months, sometimes even more. And when you're talking about any CPA, any offer that's over $100, you're gonna see that they have very fast creative fatigue. So what happens is something like that. Usually an affiliate goes, he has a bunch of creatives, he prepared everything, checked that the postbacks are working, pixels are set up, everything is ready to go. And then he sets up the campaign, and he sets up a budget inside the campaign of 100 to 300, sometimes $400. And what happens is that the cost to consumer, usually the average order value is, for example, $100, and his payout is 150. Okay, I'm just using examples.
Right.
So what happens usually is that the first 1 to 3 days, the algorithm is going into the learning phase, which is the initial phase, the exploration, and he tries a bunch of stuff, and he gets a bunch of conversions for 70, 80, 90. And then on the fourth day, what happens is that the system doesn't, the platform, regardless if it's TikTok or Facebook or Google, it doesn't get enough conversions. It doesn't get like 7 or 10 or 12 conversions that it needs on average. Like that's the minimum daily conversions. And then what happens is that the platform thinks that the actual CPA that the user is expecting is much lower than what it's getting. So it goes on another exploration phase, different placements, different type of like targeting, different geos, different demos and stuff like that. And then what happens is that the campaign CPA, either it stops converting, all in total, or it starts going up drastically. And the conclusion of a lot of affiliates or advertisers is that I need to change creatives because the creatives are just burned, which is just not true. Okay, it's also, if you go on like platforms like, for example, TikTok, and you set up a cost cap campaign, and you have, for example, a budget of 200, and then you set up a target CPA of 150 or 250, it's gonna tell you that the budget isn't even enough to convert for like one conversion. So basically you're failing the algorithm to begin with. And the whole secret sauce of these companies, TikTok, Facebook, and also Google, is the pixel and how it finds the audience. So just think of the fact that with the cookie problem that we have and the whole thing, it's getting worse and worse, and it's getting harder for these algorithms to really find the audience. So when you don't help them with budgets to begin with, then you're just left in a lose-lose situation. So that's the first thing.
That's actually a really great secret, and people do not talk about this enough. So thank you so much. And I just want to add a small parenthesis. We are better on the native side, but we see the same thing, obviously, with native pre-sales. And also, what's a big mistake besides, when it comes to the creatives, you mentioned the learning phase. We need to be patient. I've seen affiliates, good affiliates, they'll send 200 clicks with, an hour of traffic, and they're like, oh, this is not working. Well,
Yeah,
give it some time, right? The
yeah,
creative is not, it's like, give it a
so
bit of
true.
time. No one is patient, and no one
It's
is
crazy.
patient.
And the other thing that you probably don't see is the opposite thing. Sometimes you send 200 clicks and it converts like crazy, and what happens is that you can't control yourself and the greed is there, so you try and quadruple the budget, and then
Yep.
it ruins the campaign as well.
Exactly, exactly. And then, poor account managers, they have affiliates. They're like, oh, what happened with my money? Something is wrong. Something is broken with the offer. And it's like, everyone calm down. Our job is to make sure the offer are good. But Maor, these are people that have been doing this for a long time. And some of them, they just expect after 200 clicks, no patient, this is going to work.
So
So
the thing that,
thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
so just to give like transparency on what happens on the other side. So whether it's just like an amateur affiliate or someone who's starting out, or whether it's someone who has a bigger name and has like a reputation, what happens on the other side is a bunch of stuff. First of all, good affiliates are flooded with messages and offer options. They are so stuffed and full that you have no imagination how many messages on how many platforms, from Telegram to Skype every day. So that's
Exactly.
one. Two, sometimes it's very misleading on the offer side, on the affiliate side. So usually what happens is that the affiliate would run with MaxWeb and two other affiliate networks, and the affiliate networks, sometimes they're very conning, so they know that the affiliate is testing, because either they asked them or he told them willingly. And then what happens is that they would fire just like fake conversions that would give an imaginary EPC, so that the traffic allocation would go to that network, and then it goes to shit.
Yeah.
So that has to do with that. And the other thing is that, again, the industry turned into a lot of people are selling like fake dreams. It feels, it's almost like looking at, we talked about casinos for a second before we went live. I don't know why that topic was the topic that we decided to go and talk about, but
Oops.
you know there are so many like YouTube videos where you see blackjack players that are winning,
Mhm.
winning, winning, and it's crazy, and it makes you feel, even though you're 35 and you know that casinos are complete fake and a hoax and only should be used for entertainment purposes and stuff like that. It makes you feel like, oh my god, I want to deposit, and there is such a
Yep.
big, kick.com has influencers that they pay them to play, and I don't know what they're doing on the other side, but they win millions of dollars, and then they have people sign up underneath them. So it's a funnel. It's a different type of funnel. It's a live funnel. But yeah, the
Pyramid funnel.
expectation, yeah, the expectation to convert right away is also, and it has to do one more thing. It has to do with Facebook and everyone that originated or started buying media on Facebook 5, 6, 4 years ago really gotten used to converting on the first day, So it's
Exactly.
like, whether it's like someone who came from natives or someone who came from even search campaigns on Google, they have a lot more patience. They know how many conversions the campaign needs and how to switch into any kind of like a manual type of bid, semi-manual or semi-automatic like target CPA and stuff like that. So again, it really depends on how much professional you want to be. If you want to play a longer term game, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I had offers that I lost so much money on, 50, $70,000, and
Mhm.
just on the day or the day before I decided to give up and pause, they started converting. Something clicked. One campaign was winning, the CPCs, the engagement,
Yeah.
something worked there, and it started scaling, and then I got all of what I lost back. So just like everything with entrepreneurship, it's about consistency, and you have to remember that if it was easy, no one wants it to be easy, because if it was easy, everyone would have done it. I know it's like a
Exactly.
corny kind of
Exactly.
sentence, but it is like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you mind if we take like a couple of questions? Because that's why we do it live.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can probably help because this one is a native, but Maor, you can help me if not. So Kunal, you asked if you have a doubt, like you have an offer that's converting well for like 7 days, but after that, there's no conversion 4 days on native. It's My advice personally, what I've seen, one, your account manager should be your best friend because they'll know if the advertiser or the product owner maybe switch mids, the processing on the back end, fulfillment, something is not working. There is a chance that something is, not working. So ask your account manager, but also pick an offer that is going to do well on native. Like VSLs, not every VSL is going to be fantastic on Facebook in native. So you need to pick the right offer. That's my advice. Do you have anything to add, my friend?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's kind of like it's almost like, if your computer broke down or your car broke down, how I would test it is like I would go to the point where I strip the computer down to the essential parts that it needs, see if that's working, and start adding one by one. Okay, so how I do that is, one, I do not trust any affiliate manager or anyone else, just because most affiliate networks would not give you that kind of like level and service at the end of the day.
True.
It's a very, very, very small amount of affiliate networks that you can trust. So that's one. Two, if it's something, any kind of like problem that's highly unusual. For example, I've had a campaign that's converting for like a month consistently. There wasn't a day where I didn't get conversions, and then I've had 4 days, 2 days where I don't get any conversion at all. First of all, why did you let it sit for 4 days? First, the first day it would be an issue with it. I would go and check it, and then I would start checking throughout the funnel on my end, see that the links are working, see that the hosting is working, stuff like that. And then I would go and ask the affiliate manager for sure, and start really checking. Again, going back to what I said about networks, sometimes the network would not be transparent, which is the hardest part, because they would not
Yeah.
want to compensate the affiliate for the traffic he lost. And then what happens is that it's a complete waste of time, because the affiliate is trying to figure out what's going on, and the campaign is dialed in and it's working, but it's going to pause it, so stuff like that. So you have to choose an affiliate network that has a reputation, that is playing on the longer term, and it sees you as a potentially strategic partner throughout the longer term. So if you have that, that's gonna filter out 60-70% of the stuff. And then you have 20% that's kind of like a force majeure when it comes to Facebook getting crazy. We've had a few months where Facebook has been up and down,
Yeah.
overspending, under delivering, stuff like that. So sometimes you can't really do anything besides wait for the storm to pass.
Thank you. That's perfect. Appreciate it. All right. So we talked about creatives. What else? Give us your wisdom.
Yeah, so just because you brought it up, I didn't plan on talking about it, but I also want to talk about um, how you choose the right platform when you have a VSL.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a weight loss product, you have a supplement, maybe testosterone, maybe something that has to do with ED, and then you have to choose kind of like where you're gonna promote it. So
Mm,
yes, you have what you talked about, which is the offer more kind of like native approach? Does it fit both YouTube and Facebook, or both Facebook and natives? And then I want to talk about a few kind of like benefits or positives that natives has. The first thing is that usually compared to Facebook, it's way less saturated. So that's the
mm,
first thing. It's easier to scale if something's working. So that's one. The 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 harder side to getting an offer working on natives is the fact that you usually need a lot more money there to stabilize the offer, to finish
100%.
testing the creatives. um, and it's also much less forgiving when it comes to rip and running. So if you see something that's working and you try and copy it to your account, 99% of the times nowadays it's not going to work, simply because the algorithm recognizes that as spam, as duplicates, and then it's going to under deliver or something like that. So you want to make sure that you really use whatever you see on spy tools as inspiration, and don't duplicate it, because it's simply not going to work. and
Yeah.
and then you have another thing that you have to consider, which is the time of year. So usually natives are better in the first half, and especially if we're talking about e-com on the first quarter when it comes to pricing, and then it's very good on the last quarter when it comes to gifting. But it's usually very expensive just because of the arbitrage players that are pouring in lots of money into the native platform. So that's one. A cool thing that's a sunny side that native has is policy. Compared to Facebook, you really can't compare it because it's like it's the only place where you're actually gonna get feedback on what to change. If you have something that's uncompliant, that's a very good place to really, if you have a good rep there, you can ask specifically what's wrong, what do I need to change, is this headline okay or not, and then they can tell you. And it's also a good filter on before going live on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, just to filter and make sure that you're fully compliant, because you don't want to get the accounts banned and stuff like that. And also it's very good in terms of like seeing whatever's working, what angles are working. Sometimes the pre-lenders, my small lion is getting crazy, but yeah, so sometimes the pre-lenders and the creatives that are working with natives aren't going to work on Facebook, but usually it's going to save you a lot of time and money. My personal secret when it comes to natives is that I always use them at the very least as fallbacks. So, for example, I have some right now, even I have some break-even campaigns on Facebook. I'm either losing a bit, making a bit of money, but in total, on average, it's breaking even. And then I would use the audience that I get from Facebook to remarket on natives. So it's not a big campaign, but that's where I generate like a crazy ROI. So it's not a big campaign in terms of scale, but it is generating some profit on the other end. Yeah, so I think that kind of like summarizes the part where
That's awesome. Thank you.
yeah. Uh,
I saw another question, and I think this is really
yeah,
relevant
sure.
because we get all this question all the time. So Mate just if the offer payout is $100, usually CPA, what budget and how long would you test it on Facebook? And I know it's a very general question, but
It is.
it's important to know because is it $20 a day, $50 a day? What would you do if you're just getting started with Facebook
Yeah,
again? What?
so usually the the answer to 95% of the questions that are very general in this industry is that you have to test. You know that it's like you have to test. It's all about testing, blah blah blah. But if you
Optimize.
really, yeah, and if you really want to go deeper into that, the real answer is that there is no equation on, payout times blah 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 equals the budget that you need per day, or the cost to consumer blah blah blah. You do have to figure out a bunch of stuff. One, where are you in terms of the research that you're doing as an advertiser? That means, do you have a pre-lender that's already converting? Do you have, at the very least, inspiration on the angle that you're going to choose? Or are you starting from zero? Because if you're starting from zero, you need a lot more budget. Second, same goes for creatives. If you already ran the offer, you know it's converting, you know what the angle that's working for you, you're gonna bring it from YouTube to Facebook or something like that, then that's great. Again, this is the first thing. Second thing is, what niche are we talking about? ED is not the same as weight loss, for example. So if you're doing ED on Facebook, you're gonna see very very low CPCs, but also a very small conversion rate. So you need lots of conversions. At the end of the day, you want the platform to get anywhere between 5 to 15 conversions. Really depends on your conversion rate, on the amount of campaigns that you're running, blah blah blah. But you also have to look at it as one campaign, uh, or every campaign individually. So if you have like 3 conversions here, 2 conversions there, 1 conversion there, that means that you're not getting enough conversions, because every campaign, yes, they use the same pixel. Yes, you want the pixel to get lots of data and be kind of like warm and learn the audience, but you also want the campaign itself to convert at the end of the day, because every campaign has its own ecosystem. So um, I mean, if your payout or the average cost to consumer is $100, then I would do something like 5 to 10x on that. One big mistake when it comes to setting the budget is that affiliates would go and use their target CPA. So, for example, if they're
Hmm.
getting 100, they want to have like a 30% margin. They'll do 70 times blah blah blah, and they have to understand that the campaign is going to learn. They're going to have to optimize. Maybe they're going to switch between highest volume to bid cap, stuff like that. So you really want to use the cost to consumer, because at the end of the day, it's not like Facebook was 8 years ago or something like that. You are going to break even at the best case, on the first amount of money before you get payout bumps and they see quality and refund rate and average order values and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you are really, if you're gonna play the game, play it. Don't kind of like half swim with half your body, or I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
Swimming with sharks, but
Yeah.
only
You
half.
wanna dive deep. If you're playing the game, play it. Don't play like you're gonna. If you're playing soccer, don't be afraid of someone kind of like kicking the ball too strong, because you're already inside the field.
No, that's it's, I really appreciate you being honest and transparent because while we're not here trying to sell a dream, we are taking time out of our days to genuinely say, Guys, this is what we see as working, this is what we're doing, right? We are really doing this to help others because I remember when I got started, I know how it was for you, Maor, but no one really told you anything. Like they wouldn't even share like anything about creatives or what works and what doesn't. It was this huge secrecy around everything that works well
Yeah.
online. And it's so silly because it's still a small industry and there's room for so many others to join. So I really appreciate you being transparent. And
Yeah,
while
definitely.
it would be so nice to tell everyone, oh, just spend $20 a day and everyone will be rich overnight, well,
Yeah.
that would be a lie, guys. I mean, yes, we have very successful affiliates that easily make 80K a day, but they got there through really hard and lots of work. It's not always consistent. They have, periods of time when nothing works and they have to reinvest and keep money aside. So I really appreciate you being honest and transparent because I think that's going to help more long term.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's also going back to what we talked about initially with fake gurus. I think that's a very good indication for someone, to really test if someone is like, being genuine. So if someone's telling you anything that has to do with, something that sounds too good to be true, something like a dream, um, and usually that person is trying to sell you something, has kind of like, a different, is being incentivized in another way, that's not going to benefit you at the end of the day. So keep asking questions. I mean, if someone tells you $20 a day, does that sound like it's like, true? If it was true, was he talking about it like that? If I had that secret of generating or turning $20 into 100 every day, or like a few times a day, would I go on YouTube and say it? Does it make sense? Stuff like that. Some people are looking, to kind of like, they want it so much that they buy into the dream. That's what I'm trying to say.
100%. I agree. So I wanted to ask you, I made this mental note. So you run both Facebook and native, as you were telling us earlier.
I
Would
run
you
everywhere.
Which is, that's why you're an authority in this space. And with this climate, with VSLs, if let's say one of our friends who's pretty good across different platforms, a good affiliate, maybe they're really good with email, but they want to try more VSLs, would you encourage them to try Facebook or native first? Or how I usually think it depends on the budget, because with native, you really need some money set aside. But I would
Yeah.
love to hear your opinion.
So I mean, wow, this is such a complex question. I
Thank
think
you.
that goes into how much you want to invest, and how invested you are in this. Because, okay, let's get for a second out of like this example of like an affiliate network or someone who wants to run with you guys, because for example, if someone learns how to make their own VSL, they need to understand that without going all in, it's not going to work. And by going all in, I mean they learned how to do VSLs, they created a hook, they are solving a problem, blah blah blah. They are doing the whole thing, but they never try to A/B test the offer, the
Mm.
VSL. They're not creating variations of it. So if you don't have the ability to do that, or you don't have a partner, for example, an affiliate network that
Yep.
is optimizing on the other side, and you're not gonna do the creative testing, the pre-lender testing, the VSL testing on their side, then it's not gonna work. So that's the initial filter on whatever. And then going back to what you asked, it's really a question of how much time, how much money, how secure, how much kind of like experience you have, and how much you're self kind of like secured in yourself that you are able to really generate money throughout buying media. Because if you're starting out, I don't think that going on VSLs and stuff like that is the way to do it, because I feel like that's a very high level of like media buying that it takes. um, and then you have the mental part to it, because just like you said, someone who's crushing it, and sometimes that's the biggest issue. The amount of people that I know that started from generating 50 or 100 or $300,000 a month on the first month that they've gone into the industry, or like second
Yep.
month, and then they saw how tough mentally a dry season could be. They went nuts, they got crazy, they left the industry, they went on,
Yep.
like, I don't know, yoga seminars and stuff. And we both know lots of people like that. So I mean, understanding that this is like a marathon, and this is an actual business that you don't do kind of like on the side. And if you want to do it small, then definitely take into consideration that you're playing more on the luck side than the just like the skill side. So in general, really in general, without going into what specific niche, without that, I would say that Facebook is the go-to place when starting, when just like, because the algorithm there helps you better than any other platform. And then if you want to do something that's more advanced, then I would go on natives, then I would go on um, um, YouTube and stuff like that. And then if you feel like super secured in yourself and you wanna, go on like an adventure, then you have stuff like Discovery, which is now called Demand Gen, and you have
Mm.
stuff like TikTok. That I feel like the biggest challenge there would be policy and then creatives. So it really has to do with what kind of like structure you have. If you have the ability to pump creatives, then that's great. Go on something that's more creative reliant. And if you have the ability to create lots of variants on pre-lenders and stuff like that, then that's great, and go on something like that. Um, but yeah, definitely Facebook would be the easiest thing.
I
But
agree.
again, easy is like very.
Absolutely. And you made a very good point. And I don't know, people might expect for me not to say this because VSLs are our superpower, but I do not recommend VSLs if you're just getting started, if you have no idea what affiliate marketing is, because it is a bit complex. And I hear this question a lot, like, well, can your account managers teach affiliates how to do it? Well, they probably could, but I don't want them to because it's hard enough. We open MaxWeb as a big parenthesis because we were affiliates and we keep hearing stories from vendors from other networks. We were being shaved. No one was being transparent. No one was giving us budget. So we were like, okay, well, let's open a network for affiliates. We give budgets all the time. We help with make goods, but we can do that with affiliates that know what they're doing because we would be
Yeah,
bankrupt if we would just offer make goods on everyone trying to send
definitely.
tests. So I agree. And, I'd rather us be transparent than have thousands of affiliates that sign up overnight, expecting an easy $100 per day from VSLs. But the beautiful, beautiful part is, you guys, they are so profitable once you figure out and you get
Yeah,
that sweet
definitely.
campaign
So
after lots
if
of
we're
work.
comparing it to driving cars, if your first car is gonna be a Formula One, can I teach you how to drive a Formula One? Probably, but I would rather have you drive, I don't know, a Honda, like something before you go on like a Mercedes, and then like a Porsche, and then a Maserati, and then a Formula One. But
Yeah.
again, people are like very keen. On the outside world, you have rules. You need to be at that certain age with that certain experience to have a driver's license, and then you can start driving with someone who's responsible, and then you can drive, on your own. On the internet, you can just set up a campaign regardless, and launch. So it's very easy to lose money. So you want to make sure that you are stepping, not basically not taking shortcuts, because at the end of the day, I don't think life has many good shortcuts.
I agree. And guys, we're not trying to be negative because Maor and I were probably the positive people of the industry, but we want to be honest. And we're saying you can make lots of money in our space, but you have to work very hard. I mean,
Yeah,
the
you have
Gen
to
Z,
treat it like a business.
you have to. You have to. You can hire a few VAs, tell them how to create some ads and copy paste from spy
Correct.
tools, and then expect beautiful returns, right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
MaxWeb has over 40,000 affiliates now. By the way, hi guys, we love you all.
wow.
A lot of those affiliates are still learning basic search, and we're just as proud of them as the super affiliates who have winning campaigns, because not everyone is going to be at the same level, and has nothing to do with age. They're just getting started. So there are many sources like search, GDN, stuff that's easier to learn even for VSLs, but you still have to learn, you still have to put in the time.
Yeah, I think that it's not about negativity or positivity. I think that at the end of the day, if we're looking at professional poker players or professional soccer players, for example, what they show you on TV is how they party, their beautiful wives, how they fly private jets and stuff like that, which is great. But no one shows you a video of like the 3 hour train that they're doing, how they train every day, and that they have to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to go, and kick a ball or play poker during the rain, for example. You're not going to see a poker player drink while he plays if he's a professional. You know what I mean? So all we're saying is that if you want to be professional, you want to keep it positive, you want to build a real business at the end of the day.
100%. All right. So I always try to keep the podcast under 1 hour because
Hmm.
we're just gonna have to have you back again, but we still have
Sure.
time. We still have like 13 minutes. So I would love to pick your brain a bit further and just try to get any advice you have for any affiliates that are trying to make VSLs work. Because I get the questions a lot. I don't always get time to answer to everyone. So let's say they listen to your advice on creatives, on being a bit patient, on letting the algorithm do its work. They're careful with the traffic source. What else? What else can they do to make sure they have a
Right,
real
so a
chance?
bunch of stuff. I don't have that prepared, so if it takes me a second to think about it, but I have a few things. So the first thing is being self-aware. Okay, you want to make sure that you know what you're good at and what you're not good at. For example, if you're very good at managing people but you're not good at creatives, then make sure that you either bring in an agency, or you have an agency that's gonna pump creatives, or you partnered up with someone who is good with creatives. You want to make sure that you solve that issue. If you know that you're a very good media buyer and you have a cash flow problem, make sure that you either, I don't know, take a loan, bring in a partner that's gonna support you financially and stuff like that. So that's the first part. It's kind of like, again, all of this talk that we're having, I always have like different kind of like things that I compare the industry and stuff that we talk to too. But it's kind of like if we're inside the kitchen, if we want to prepare a meal, we want to make sure that we have all of the ingredients, and not start by putting something in the oven and then figuring out we don't
Oops.
have the rest, yeah, the rest of the stuff. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you want to choose a place that's gonna give you the right support. So this is not sponsored by MaxWeb, but MaxWeb is the kind of like people that have the whole 360 in a sense where they are very transparent. They are around long enough to have that reputation and for you to know that they're not playing the short term game. And then you see the difference with certain affiliate managers and the affiliate managers at networks like MaxWeb, where you have a professional that doesn't feel like a bot. He really cares about you. He's incentivized. You see that he wants the traffic, but he's also very much involved in your business because this is as close to a partnership as you're going to have without giving equity inside your company. So you want to make sure that you really give that specific part a thought. And then what else did I want to say? Uh, 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 um, I don't remember. I think I had another thing,
What
but I'm
about conferences? What about conferences and listening to other affiliates? Because I feel like many times you can learn a lot from other affiliates, but also they cannot always be transparent to what works. So, do you have any advice
I
there?
mean,
When you go to conferences and you're
yeah.
trying to learn what other
So
affiliates
when
do
you go
best.
to a conference, you have to remember that one, usually whatever you hear has been relevant for something that worked in the past. Maybe it's like 3, 6, 9 months. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but you have to, take it with a grain of salt in a sense where you use it for inspiration. So if someone talks about backend stuff, try and really understand the thought process that brought him into realizing whatever worked, and that's what you want to grab. So it takes a lot of practice and lots of different kinds of like conferences and talks when you go and really learn how to extract the things that you want to extract. So that's one. And two, I feel like going to conferences is a very good way. I'm gonna give like a big secret that I've never gave to anyone. Using those conferences to target the potential partner that you want, your potentially next partner. That means that, for example, if you know that your partner is into financial offers, or he's into weight loss, or he's into dating or gaming or stuff like that, it's not enough just to attend a conference. You want to go to that talk that talks about the same thing. So, for example, you're highly likely not gonna find a good TikTok media buyer when you go to like I don't know, like a Snapchat creative meeting, for example. Someone who talks
Smart.
about creatives on TikTok, for example. You are going to potentially find someone who is interested in creatives, but that's not the place to go. So if you have a speech, I cannot tell you how many people I met during conferences just by sitting next to them. That's great. That's
That's
how I met my future wife, by the way. But also, that's like you want to target, specific types of people by specific talks. So that's the biggest opportunity when it comes to conferences, at least for me.
I love that. That's very good advice. Fantastic. All right, what else I would like to know? Yes, tools. Tell me, it can be something, what do you use on a regular basis that you love? It can be a tool like Complexity, where we're looking at other people and like that's a spy tool, or Canva, which is what some marketing people like to use. Any tool that you like to use, just give me one or two because I always
Yeah.
ask that. uh, we discover monday.com, which it's a very basic productivity tool, but my team loves it. And just using monday.com the last 9 months, it has helped our day to day so much. So I would love to know if there's any tools that you use on a daily basis. It can be something that everyone else does, like WordPress.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, so my answer is probably going to disappoint you. I don't have any spatial kind of like tool. I use whatever people use, Skype, Slack for communication. And then I have just like, the Ed library and stuff like that. I feel like the best tool that I have, I'm not trying to, be over just like trying to look sophisticated, but Do I use spy tools? Yes, I use them for inspiration. Do I if that's the tool that's gonna kind of like do like a whole game changer thing to your business, I don't think so. I think that the best tool would be going into those forums, going into the Facebook groups, trying to help other people, trying to communicate with other people, because at the end of the day, it's those talks like we're having now that I learn the most from, so I never feel like I'm jaded in a way where like, I know everything and I'm the guy who teaches. It's very easy to go from these like videos on YouTube, those stages at affiliate worlds, and be like super, pumped, or like have a very big ego where, I can't learn anything. But it's funny.
Nassim, I
Yeah.
yes. Well, the secret is that is a lot of work for all of us.
Yeah.
But have you seen any type of niches that work well? For example, when I look at my daily reports, I can see vision, nerve, joint pain really work, which a year ago, if I would have looked at my leaderboard, it probably would have been weight loss, right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of surprising to see from my end this shift where a lot of customers are into nerve, joint pain. Probably
Yeah.
more people are health crazed, but do you see any like niches like that? I know
Yeah,
you
a
test a
bunch of
bit of
stuff.
everything.
Yeah. So first of all, it's my belief that if something works, then it just works. It's just like if it's a seasonal product, then it's a seasonal product. But at the end of the day, you know, you wanna. It's just usually it's my experience that if you change angles, then if something goes down, then it does work. Like for example, I have or I'm running this gadget at a very very high scale, and it stopped working during Q1 and Q2, and then what we figured out is that all we had to change is we were very big with video creatives, and now we're
Mm.
testing images, and images work dramatically good. So you can tell Nassim or Nissim or whatever that this is a big secret right now. Like images on Facebook work dramatically good. Also, for example, on TikTok, it's kind of like a war in between, or like a balance in between those really good UGC branded,
Mhm.
nice looking creatives and a creatives that you don't really need to film anything. And it's kind of like an approach where it's just like give me cheap clicks and the algorithm would optimize, versus the nice educational creative that really targets and explains the potential customer what's going on. And for me, for a lot of like, for example, supplement stuff, on TikTok, really creatives that are basically either images or just like a very small moving animation with a text that looks not that great. If I was a
Oh yeah.
brand, I don't know if I would have put it there, but in terms of conversions, it brings in the conversions. So that has to do with that. So weight loss is obviously coming down right now because Q1 is over and people finished with their New Year's revelations,
Resolutions.
yeah, resolutions. And then you have ED that opened up, and Mess Thought that opened up on TikTok a few months ago. So I know that ED is exploding with TikTok. And then you have the new weight loss wave that has to do with what I call real weight loss, Ozempic, and those kind of like drugs that is exploding. And another niche that really is exploding is companies like Teladoc. So people don't want to go to doctors; they want to call them.
Mm.
They don't want to stand in line. So lots of
Right.
pharmacies and stuff like that. I see that really as something that's exploding right now. But yeah, health in general, I feel like joint pain, whatever you said about vision and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that's definitely big. Yeah, that's like evergreen.
I agree. I think the trend is easier with health than it was with weight loss because it actually Obviously, if the customers have a healthy lifestyle, they try to get a bit more sleep and a bit more exercise when they take the supplements. I mean, it's no secret. You don't have to have any type of medical knowledge to know that if you take some extra turmeric, it's going to be good for you, right? So we have that advantage of the products actually working.
People are more educated when it comes to their sleep, when it comes to their vision, when it comes to their general health. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. All right. So now let's pretend someone is just scrolling to the end of our podcast, and you want them to take away the essence of not just who you are, but also what your opinion is on VSLs and traffic. So, my dear
Ah,
friend.
so, okay. So, first of all, I remember, what was it, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I worked with a copywriter that's a very good copywriter on my own supplement brand. And he was like, I want to write VSLs. And I was like, oh, what this guy thinks. It's like 1997. And I thought that VSLs are never going to work. And now it's funny because I look at so many things I was mistaken about. I was like, very bearish about YouTube. I didn't think that YouTube is gonna work. I didn't think lots of stuff is gonna work. So I definitely think that, to summarize, VSLs are um, a very good way of convincing people if you have a very good copywriter, a very good production. I think that the level of VSLs is gonna go up throughout time, and it has gone up. So you need something that's more transparent. It cannot be as scammy or shady as it used to be. And I wouldn't start with VSLs. Again, going back to what we said, I would start with something that's easier, because the amount of puzzle pieces you need to connect for VSLs to work takes more experience. So if you're doing the first year, if you consider yourself a starting player, that's not the place to start. Having said that, if you are a business owner and you have a good media buyer, I think that for a lot of the niches that are out there, VSL is gonna work.
I agree. For once. No, I'm joking. We usually agree on most things, and thank you for that. Um, would you be comfortable if I share a link to your book in the comments?
Oh yeah,
I'm
definitely. Yeah.
obviously we're not trying to sell anything, but I just think it would be beautiful and it would be
No, it's also
helpful if
$5, but yeah.
yeah, it would just we will do that in the comments, you guys. It's a really really cool
By the way,
book
all
and
all of all of the revenue from the book, regardless if it's profit or not, it goes to dog shelters in Israel. So if you like dogs, just know that you're donating. It's just $5. I also have lots of free information on my YouTube channel, so you can share that if you want.
thank you. Thank you. And also, if you guys, I know with the time zones, it's still early for a lot of you guys on the Western Coast in the US. If you're watching this on Facebook later on today, tomorrow, and you have any questions, please tag me and Maor. We'll do our best for the rest of the week to answer any
Definitely.
questions for you. And we will have Maor back to tackle other traffic sources as well. And now that you're live, you have to say yes for the next time. So
I don't mind. Definitely.
I really appreciate you and I look
I
up to
don't know if it's
you.
gonna work. Let's
Uh,
see if it's gonna work. It doesn't work for me. It works only for you.
I love
Uh,
that. It's
I don't
it's
know how to do it.
magic. Magic. It just makes me feel better already. Maor, you are wonderful. I appreciate you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. I look up to you. I know I said that before. I want to be like you when I grow up. And thank you for being a really, really good influence in our industry.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, I love you. You're wonderful. If you are watching or if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, make sure you come to the YouTube or Facebook channel. Thank you again for listening to the MaxWeb video podcast. Life as always to make sure we are unhinged and honest. And we appreciate you all.